Good afternoon, evening, or morning, depending on where you are. Welcome to the Go Mode Link to the Past Randomizer podcast channel. Today we will be watching a Link to the Past Challenge Cup race between tylersalt and Timp. My name is Arusta, and my co-commentator today is Leslie Pro 04. How are you doing today, Leslie?
Doing good, and hi again, Go Mode podcast. It has certainly been a while. As for this particular race, it is definitely the ultimate tiebreaker because this tiebreaker series has gone to the third game. And I see, for tylersalt, he's giving a shout out to the moms out there on Mother's Day, and I feel that that's a good idea too. So happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Absolutely. Our trackers today are Scottish Brave 44 and Yoinkerswife, and also shout outs to our Restreamer, Cinaeth. Both these racers are currently tied 1-1. This is an elimination match. The loser goes home. The winner moves on to the next stage of brackets. So should be a very hype match. As you can see, it's currently tied 1-1. We'll be starting here in just 10-15 seconds.
We've had a lot of hype matches in these qualifiers over the past few weeks, which, from what I've experienced, the qualifiers have thrown a little bit of everything at us, from the really fast jet speeds to the really slow, dirty, long logic chain seeds. Personally, I prefer the former, but I think for chat they'd want to see the latter. I'm not going to wish that because that's just inviting bad randomizer karma.
And we are off. The uncle telling us the seed is the worst. Good start.
I don't know. The game 1 seed I had of my tiebreaker set, well, this is a good start. A good beat.
Yeah, and that's something that, you know, with depending on what starting weapon they get, that might actually be something they get some use out of here in Escape. So they do have to, since it is standard, they do have to go through Escape like you would in the vanilla game.
Although if you still have it after Escape, you can sell it to the bottom. It's a bomb opening, so that beam might see some use.
Yeah, the bomb opening is generally considered the hardest of the opening weapons you can get. Definitely something that B might come in handy, because not only do you need to use the bombs to kill enemies, you want to make sure you save one for the end to get into the back of Escape. Those 3 chests.
Well, I mean, if you want a silver lining, the silver lining is this: you don't have to farm for bombs.
Absolutely. Ooh, and Tyler doing the 2 bomb strat there. Very nice, but did take a hit, so you might see him pick up the heart in this next room. There's a safety heart under one of these pots.
That's the real tricky thing with the bomb opening, is you can take damage so easily, either from the guard's sword, or you can blow yourself up.
Definitely, and Tyler getting a bit of luck there that the guards also drop hearts, so got his full refill.
Thankfully, this green guard only needs the 1 bomb to take out. Guard in the next room needs 2, and Timp missed with the first one, but got the second. The other part of this opening that is tough in terms of having to use bombs is ammo management, for sure. One great way to do that, just throw 2 pots at the ball and chain guard. Easy peasy. Next.
Yeah, and Tyler waiting a sec there up at the top for the green guard to walk away so didn't accidentally aggro him. Very good idea there.
Do you have enough pots to deal with that guard up? Well, I guess the thing about needing to use bombs is out because there's a weapon in Zelda's cell! She's armed!
Yeah, you'd think she'd use that sword to maybe, you know, break out of jail, but...
So I guess now that little bit about ammo management is out the door. So now you don't have to worry about bombing the rat or anything like that. You just NMG it from here.
Yeah, definitely. While we've got a couple spare minutes here while they're walking through the rooms we've already seen here in Escape, just to give a bit of background. So these tylersalt and Timp are both actually league teammates of mine on the long shot. Timp is probably best known for his work with the Go Mode podcast, one of the hosts of the channel you're actually watching right now. And Tyler has done quite a bit of Zelda randomizer as well. To get to this point, Tyler won his first match and then lost his second. To get to this loser's bracket, Timp lost his first match and then won his second, or lost his first setup and then won his second. And then in this head-to-head, they are currently 1-1. Like I said earlier, winner moves on to the next stage of brackets. Loser goes home.
I am curious about one thing. Who did each runner face in their respective series? As Tyler got a very clean road for him. And then, whoa, we got a Moon Pearl in the Dark Cross. Looks like it's standard.
To answer your question, Timp lost to Dixon and then beat Arcturus Chusky. tylersalt beat Arcturus Chusky and then lost to Dixon. So from Group AC, Dixon is already in, and then the winner into the next stage of brackets, and then the winner of this moves on to the next stage of brackets.
And behind the bomb wall, we got the map. We also got 320 rupees, so money problems early, not in this seed.
Yeah, and that is very nice because that means they won't have to worry about potentially either needing, if they need to buy bombs, they can do that. They can buy the merchant's item. And it also means, since they saw the map, they will both be checking this chest here because they know there's an item in it.
And that item is a blue man.
That is a very nice safety to get this early.
About a 16-second difference between our runners passing through the door to the sanctuary.
Yeah, and the map check there, in case you missed it, had red crystals on Eastern and Hera, so we might be seeing the Pyramid Fairy surprisingly early. And then Desert, I believe, was a pendant. No, Desert was a crystal, but only a regular crystal. So that means we got 3 pendants in the Dark World, so this might end up being a fast seed because a lot of the Dark World dungeons are ones that require more items, so depending on the item layout, you might be able to skip Ice Rod or Flippers or something of that nature.
We got a bit of early divergence where tylersalt opting not to do what Timp is doing, and Timp is going to be checking the Lumberjack tree, which is a play that not a lot of runners do in this current version of the rando, but it does have some merit, as there could be something at Lumberjack tree earlier versions tended to put progression there, but not today, as that is a big 20.
Yeah, that's definitely a personal preference. Seems like one of the current meta is that if you sort of wait on that check until you get boots, or if you use glove to get up your Death Mountain access. So effectively, when you can route it in with other stuff rather than sort of doing it standalone.
I can sort of see that both ways, but for me it's ingrained to always check that early, because the one time I didn't, there was something there and I was not.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those plays that it either wins you a game or you really, really regret it. Both boomerangs early.
Early red meringue. You can do some optimal routing in Hera with a boomerang. So, not a terrible pickup to see early. And, well, speaking of not terrible pickups, how about a hammer in the back of Blind's hideout?
Yeah, you think we might even be seeing early Village of Outcasts, because we are only a glove away from getting to Dark World, right where we're standing.
tylersalt unfortunately missing the first bomb, so has to wait a bit for the second one to go off to claim the treasure behind it. It's just more bombs.
Yeah, which is definitely not what you're particularly expecting to see, but this early you don't really complain about it, because it does mean you probably won't have to worry about bombs for quite a while.
And the merchant leaves a 20 rupee, I was going to say 20 rupee tip, but that's really 20 rupees of change. Not the best of plays. Now, in case you're wondering about bird flip, it's actually possible to put the bird all the way through to where the chest is, and if that happens, the bird gets in the way. I know from experience it's like not the worst thing that can happen, but still annoying all the same. Now with those bottles, we can cash it in for Sick Kid, which today is a bug net. Gee, that looks familiar, doesn't it?
It certainly does, and as Grey Carvid is pointing out in chat, we are basically a lamp away from having Aga access thanks to that cape.
Now back of the tavern, on the other hand, half magic, which I don't care what level of logic you're playing, that is a welcome sight.
Yeah, especially getting that cape early, you know, if you want it for Ganon, that's a really nice half magic plus cape is a very nice safety to have on Ganon.
And that is a piece of heart at the races, which tylersalt is not interested in whatsoever. It's definitely a South Shore play from here, because with no bow, we really don't have a reason to go over the Eastern at this juncture.
Yeah, especially with having all this much money plus Moon Pearl, you can check quite a bit of things on the if you're willing to fake flipper, and I know Tyler knows how to do that quite well. So this is probably going to be a full South Shore check going up to Zora afterwards.
There's our first heart container. Even with blue mail, having 3 hearts can be a little concerning, although you won't really run the risk of getting one-hit KO'd until later in the game. Even so, that security does help. And Timp is going for the race because he wants the piece of heart, which doesn't fill a container, but it might help later. And there's our first shield, which Tyler has no interest in.
Very nice use of the bombs there to speed up that mini Moldorm cave there by Tyler.
There's our first glove, and that's Dark World access in Mini Moldorm Cave with a flute. And that, no, not a full South Shore this time. I'm pretty sure this is going to be an activate the flute scenario and potentially Village of Outcasts, potentially checking Agina, potentially, I mean, it's early, I know, and there's no guarantee there, but a Sphere Zero Agina is definitely possible. And in SMZ3, we often call that a dirty Agina, which I've also co-opted for a Link to the Past rando.
I would be surprised. That's all on the table. I would be surprised if Tyler does much more than activate his flute, then goes straight to Dark World, because even though Agina is still possible and could still have something, that's one check. It's kind of off by its own. And you do know, since Desert is a pendant, you're going to be in that area at some point. So I think it's probably a lot more likely he goes to Dark World, maybe right just north of here immediately.
Also, we've got a bird loose. Look out, here comes a goose. Looks like Timp's doing a similar play as well.
Yeah, the real question here, I think, is do we see Tyler try to do the front of Skull Woods, maybe see, since you're right here, are those potentially two items good, or does he put it off and hope to get Fire Rod and maybe even skip the entire front?
Another option that, well, map check, and it is Pod, Mire, and Thieves Town is our 3 pendants. Pod is the green pendant.
Yeah, and that means basically the only items you get away with based on the dungeon layout, is potentially a pendant for Mire that you don't need. Everything else you would need, you pretty much need.
Well, the medallion for Mire could be a thing. We shall see, although the medallion is more impertinent for Turtle Rock, if anything. But that also means we need an ice rod.
Yep, we need an ice rod, we need Samaria, we need flippers, we need mirror, potentially boots for desert. There's a ton of stuff still on the table here.
And there's a big key in the pop prison chest. So we could see Tyler go for a bomb jump here to potentially get to the big chest without having to do the intended puzzle. Tyler's just batting the Gibdo away until taking the exit courtesy of the Wallmaster Express.
Yep. Meanwhile, Timp looks like he's skipping the front of Skull Woods, which is definitely a defensible play since you know there's 2 items and there are chests in the back.
This is definitely a death warp for Tyler to get his health back. Now that hook shot is pretty big because that opens up the rest of Death Mountain on the Light World side.
Looks like Tyler is going to commit to his play and get this extra last chest here in the front of Skull Woods. I think that makes sense. Even though he got nothing for it, you know there's a pretty good chance one of the items you're about to see is a item here.
Worst case scenario for luck, it's not an item and the 2 items are actually in the back. That would be the worst case scenario, but you never know.
And that's the scenario we're dealing with, looks like.
Yeah, we're going to call that one Commentator's Curse on me as Timp has entered Thieves' House.
And there's 1 item in the front for Timp. Interesting thing to do here is let's see how many items Timp finds here in the front of Thieves' Town in these 4 chests, because even though he can clear the back with both the hammer and glove, it's potentially, since it's a pendant, might be a case where you just bail out after getting the first 4.
Yeah, and even that's 50-50. The one time I did such a bailout, there was an item in the back. Had 3 in the front, so it was the right play to make, but not that time. So that's also a reason why I don't like doing those type of plays, because it looks like back to haunt me. Oh geez, only 1 item in the front? Yeah, this is a situation where the answer's definitely stay without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we just saw on Tyler's side, going to check that cape, probably feeling like he got it early, so it's some kind of progression, but it is not. Just another bottle.
And Timp instead takes a death warp and leaves. This could come back to haunt him if there's something in the back of Thieves' Town. If there's nothing there, then it works out. If there's something there, then that would be trouble. We'll see how it plays out. It's a bold strategy, though.
Yeah, and I think there's a good chance, knowing Tyler, that we're about to see whether that'll work out or not. Because Tyler's already made the empty Skull Woods dip, made that dip over to the cape for nothing. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tyler, when he sees his 1 item here in Thieves' Town, say, let's do the entire thing.
And the dig game yields a heart container. I think that was 14 digs. It was definitely less than vanilla.
Well, vanilla is, if you're trying to do a speed run, it will 100% speed run where you have to dig it up. It will always be 29 or 30 digs just to taunt you.
Yeah. Oh, it was 16. Thanks for the correction there, because, well, nobody's perfect. That's all I'm going to say.
Meanwhile, it looks like Timp is doing the full south, short south routing here through Dark World, because going to pick up Hype Cave, and I would expect he'll probably go up to Pod afterwards, get all those checks as well.
Bombos to start Hype Cave. Piece of Heart, 2. And 2 bomb packs. So, an improvement over some Hype Caves, but because I've seen worse. I've seen better, but I've also seen worse.
Yep, and as predicted, looks like tylersalt is doing the back, so we're going to find out pretty quickly with whether Timp's play is going to hurt him or not. Meanwhile, Timp is going to show us these Death Mountain checks, which we have not seen anything up here yet, so...
Starting with the old man, which since we don't have lamp is out of logic, but I would say the most common out of logic check made in A Link to the Past rando, because you do get a restart point for doing so, as well as whatever the old man has in his pocket.
Yeah, and especially with having Flute activated, that restart point is generally the fastest place to get almost anywhere if you're going to pull out the Flute afterwards.
3 bombs in the attic. The old man just had pocket change.
Yeah, and Tyler going to need to be a little careful. He's eaten a couple hits from those grasshoppers. Down to half a heart here. OHKO mode for a while.
Yeah, I mean, this probably wouldn't be a bad time to check to see what the stun prize is, because if it turns out to be health or even a fairy, that would really help. Nothing in the Spectacle Rock area.
And Tyler doing really smart thing there, killing off that red Zazak first, because that is something that he can very easily snipe you if you leave him alive and you're walking down like this.
Yep. And it looks like, based off what we've seen in Blind Cell, that there is an item on the boss here.
Yeah, thus far, Tyler has not gotten anything out of this backside play. Where Tyler...
Tip just got a fire rod and a master sword in Paradox Cave. And for once, the ice rod gets mentioned.
Timp pulling off the bomb jump very nicely. There is a bit of a trick to that one if you don't know it, that as you walk left with your sword held out, it actually sort of nudges you on the right pixel. So if you're careful, you can get that one much more easily than a lot of the other bomb jumps.
Yeah, that's a good one to know for sure. Meanwhile, tylersalt dispatches blind very easily, only takes 1 heart of damage. Nicely done. Unfortunately, only getting a piece of heart for his efforts. So it looks like unless their pedestal comes into play, then Timp made the right call. There's the bow in Harris, so Timp's on the right path for sure.
Yeah, and it is worth noting for those of you who joined us a little late, they have not checked, neither Timp nor tylersalt has checked the eastern area. So once Timp goes upstairs, finishes off this dungeon, with that bow, he will have 1 red crystal. He can go do Eastern and get a 2nd red crystal and unlock Pyramid Fairy if he so chooses.
Timp had a bit of trouble with Harapot, so is opting to do the basement the traditional way.
Yeah, I do like that call to try it once and then just not, because depending on how confident you are, sometimes you can get it 2nd try, but it's very common that once you mess it up once, you just get a little flustered and it just kind of becomes a bigger issue.
I've had that personal experience. I've had that happen with Ice Palace Bomb Drunk, and it is frustrating. And there's a Death Warp for Timp to get back to the start of the dungeon sooner. It looks like Tyler's going to be joining Timp on Death Mountain shortly.
Yeah, and this is where that skipping of Thieves Town basically comes right into play, because this is all stuff that Timp's probably going to be finishing Hera about the same time Tyler even gets over to that area, to the eastern side.
Down goes Moldorm for Timp. And that's 1 red crystal in our first crystal of the match.
And so with that half magic, we'll see if Timp saves and quits or if he goes and does Spike Cave here, because this would be an opportune time to do something like Spike Cave, or looks like he's doing Spiral Cave.
Now, you say Spike Cave, and that looks like that's where tylersalt is going to see if he can come up with something here.
Yeah, because with half magic and that cape, it is in logic, especially with that green potion as well. And it's also a check that you know your opponent probably isn't going to do super early, so maybe he's thinking he can get something here.
But nope, 20 rupees and a simultaneous save and quit. Timp's gonna give us our first look at Ice Rod Cave. $50 rupees, so nothing major there.
Timp going straight up to Eastern Palace, it looks like. Makes a lot of sense. And to answer a question in chat, we did not see anything in Skull Woods. Tyler cleared the entire front including the middle vanilla big key chest, and got nothing. So both items are fire rod locked in the back. And since that is a crystal, you would have to imagine whenever Timp decides to do it, he will go back first, and then that'll be a nice time savings for him to never touch the front. So seeing some speculation in chat about where Timp might head after finishing up this Eastern play. This is his second red crystal, so Pyramid Fairy's unlogic, and that would also, since neither of them have checked Pyramid itself, you could go in through Hype Cave, pick up your red bomb, do Pyramid Fairy, Pyramid Ledge, and then go from there into Pod or into Catfish, however you wanted to play that. There's also back of Skull Woods, and then, of course, some more overworld checks, though you'd have to expect that wouldn't really make a ton of sense to do some overworld at this point with clearable crystals on the table.
Nice Harapot with just bombs from Tyler. Tyler's gonna get some time back on that exchange, as Timp did basement, Tyler did not. Moldworm is down after basically taking a hammer to the face. Even though his tail was there, that's still rather painful. Now, the one thing about doing Spiral Cave now is that it's a slower check, but it could pay off even though we know it won't. Timp doing the last dark room. Uh-oh. At this point, it might be best to just use Fire Rod to see what the heck is going on in that room. Oh, but Timp takes a death in the dark.
Going right back in, which is the right call, but this time, yeah, especially with half magic, pulling out Fire Rod immediately, especially since with half magic, and this is one of the rooms where the torches are basically free. You just, right after you walk through the door, you hold right or left, and then fire your Fire Rod, and you hit it pretty much for free. So makes it a lot easier if you're at all feeling a little shaky.
Tyler's also not going to check Sahasrah's closet at this point.
That's a perfectly reasonable play. So basically when you come out, it's actually a little faster. That ledge he just walked past to the left, you just jump down there twice, and that puts you right at Saha. It's actually faster than doing it the other way. If you have the items and are confident you can do the dark rooms, which I think both Tyler and Timp are.
Yeah, Timp running low on arrows is gonna have to restart, but this room is very good for such a purpose, because there's a total of 20 under these pots. There's Timp on the NMG kill. Gets it done and gets an arrow refill.
Yeah, so Timp got the crystal about 35 minutes and 30 seconds. So looks like Tyler, if he doesn't take the death like Timp does, will probably be about 3 or so minutes behind.
Testing of consequence in Sahasrah's closet, unless you consider a piece of heart and heart container otherwise.
Yeah, it looks like Timp's going to the Dark World. Probably going to pick up, like I mentioned earlier, probably going to just buy that red bomb, take it to the north, and then figure it out from there. Also, while we see Tyler show us the same checks we've seen a couple minutes ago, and Timp's just running through the overworld, so real quick refresher. So this is Group AC of the Challenge Cup between tylersalt and Timp. Both of these runners have, so this is basically win, you advance to brackets, lose and go home, since the current score is 1-1. My name is Arusta. My co-commentator today is Leslie Pro 04. Big thanks to our trackers, Yoinkerswife and Scottish Brave 44 for doing the hard work here of keeping us on track and keeping us in line, and also Cinaeth for doing the restream here on the Go Mode podcast channel.
Tyler did not die in the back and has a clean shot of finishing the dungeon, as Timp is closing in on dropping off the big package. Nothing on the pyramid ledges. That is quite literal pocket change. As for the inside, 300 rupees and a piece of heart, so Pyramid Fairy having nothing for us in that regard.
It looks like Timp is heading south, so Timp's probably going to check pod here, which makes plenty of sense. Even though, you know, it's doing it in the dark, the only part that's going to really be likely to really be trolly is potentially that turtle room, which you do have fire rod for. So would not be surprised to see Timp go all the way here.
The Roosting chat making a very good point. As a teammate of both, I am supposed to complain about both of them equally. Well, that's being fair and impartial. I believe Timp inadvertently took the wrong door.
Yeah, and they do have Bo here, so, you know, he can full clear it. Looks like Tyler's going to do pretty much the exact same thing. So Tyler is basically about 3 minutes behind, effectively either that Skullwoods dip or that Back of Thieves Town play, however you want to call it.
also a bit of an exchange in terms of time, as Timp wound up doing Hera the intended way and took a death in the back of Pod, so that 3 minutes could be a lot worse. Bringing up Cactus, which would be a divergence in routing, which could potentially pay off. We have no idea, or maybe Tyler is. Oh, there's the Titan's mitts in the bow-locked part of Pod.
Oh, Tyler saving and quitting out of there. That's interesting. Wonder where he's going now. Because that's definitely, I mean, that's a big advantage for Timp to find those mitts.
The only way that's not an advantage is if Tyler were to find everything else needed for go mode and were to last location the mitts, which, considering how much the mitts lock, isn't exactly the worst thing to last location.
That's definitely true, but it's also, since it's a pendant pod, even though you're basically doing it for 6 items, since it's green pendant, that could be something where now that Tyler skipped it once, he has that feeling of, oh, well, I'm committing to my play, which is good routing in general, but unfortunately not what's going to work out here for him if that's what he ends up doing.
Tyler is doing Skull Woods instead. So we get to see what's there. The basement having a small key. Now note the number of keys that Timp has. With that many keys, there is definitely something at Harmless Hellway.
Yeah, effectively, the way I've been told the logic works is if you're coming out of the basement and you have exactly 2 keys, then you can skip Harmless Hellway. Otherwise, you know there's at least something there. It might be a compass like we just saw, but it's not a key.
Yeah, like when you know what... Yeah, when you have 2 keys after you've cleaned up that triad of rooms, if you haven't missed any checks to that point, then you know you can skip Harmless Hellway and save yourself a good 10-15 seconds.
And pulling a sword out in the dark, that is a very nice find for Timp there. It is worth noting, if you've been watching both this and the main tourney, this is on standard items, so there is silvers available. But even so, having the difference between Master Sword and Tempered is the biggest damage difference in the game, not just on Ganon, but even on regular fights as well. So that'll be very nice for Timp.
No Mothula has a item on hand. Question is, what is it? We'll know, assuming Mothula stops getting hit into the spikes, because that nullifies the damage that you take. And Mothula just had 20 bucks.
Yeah, meanwhile, Timp going to show us our Dark Death Mountain checks here, which I like, because with Hookshot, you know, you can basically clear all of East Dark Death Mountain. He can route in and see what the medallion he needs for Turtle Rock, since he knows that's a crystal. And then Timp has also not checked Spike Cave, which we know is garbage, but he can do all the checks on the west side here, then head east and do that as well. So that's good routing, even though that Spike Cave is going to be just a waste of a minute.
Unfortunately, Timp doesn't get the hook shot clip there, so has to go up and around. And there's nothing of consequence in Thieves Town, as it was just 20 bucks in a heart container.
Yeah, this might be where we see Tyler go over to Pod, because he's sort of running low on checks right now.
The lamp and the cane of Burna in Super Bunny Cave. And Tyler's going to give us a glance at Desert Ledge and Agena. It's Bombos for TR entry. With the Cane of Samaria, Timp would be able to enter. Just a piece of heart at Agena. Now over into Hookshot Cave. Nothing yet. I mean, heart container's nice, but that's not what we're after, game. Yeah, nothing of consequence here.
Tyler going to continue to play out these overworld checks. Looks like he has decided that, you know, now that he's skipped pod, he's going to keep pushing that off.
Well, he's running out of checks to be able to push that off for, unfortunately, for him. Now, also looking at the logic, pod was a logical double dip because that lamp was locked behind the Titan's mitts. Hold that thought. Tyler's no longer skipping pod. He's going there. Good question. On the flip side, I could also see Tyler just full clear all of pod. That's also possible. While Timp is making a stop at the potion shop to come up with potions. Or at least one blue.
That makes sense, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Timp go over to Skull Woods now, since that's a clearable crystal, now that you've got the potions for it.
Got the potions, the defense, and the offense for it with Tempered Sword.
Though it is worth noting, we as viewers know this, Timp of course doesn't, that he is not going to get any further progression from it. So Timp as well is starting to run low on logical checks. He does have the Mire Shed area, which he has not checked. Potentially Mire itself. You can't finish it, but you can go pretty deep in it without the cane. And if you're willing to completely break shatter logic, you can fake flipper your way into Ice Palace.
And with two viable options for that dungeon as well, a Fire Rod and a Bombos Medallion, with the latter being great for Phase 1 Cold Stare. The Smith Chain is an option, however, Mirrorless Smith Chain is one of those really gross checks that I don't think too many people like doing anyway.
I agree, though I will say, as Cinaeth, our Restreamer, is pointing out in chat, as doing Skull Woods into Smith Chain is a good and logical way to do it, and it also makes sense from the standpoint that if you found Mirror, Smith Chain is not going to give you anything that makes Skull Woods better, but Skull Woods could potentially give you Mirror or something and make Smith Chain better. It's one of those little subtle bits of routing that good players sort of figure out over time that, you know, how do I combine things? How do I make what gets better, what wouldn't? We know it's not going to pay off in this instance, but that just makes sense as a general idea. The interesting question here is whether Tyler pushes this all the way to Green Pendant or Bales partway through. Because we did not see the Green Pendant check from Timp.
Nor did we see Helmasaur hit. And Tyler comes up with the mitts. Nice strategy there by Tyler to flip the switch, or rather set up the switch to be hit, drop off, and get back around quick enough. As Timp takes down Mothula, comes up with a big 20 and the crystal.
Yeah, and with Timp walking back manually through Skull Woods here, it seems like he's almost certainly coming back to pick up the Smith. If he was doing pretty much anything else, a save and quit would be faster.
I believe Tyler's coming back around to go for a hammer. Now, for those not familiar, Hammer Yump is a double pixel perfect trick in that your bomb placement and placement of your player sprite would have to both be pixel perfect. Actually, no, Timp was checking. Yep, Tyler actually nailed on it.
Timp pulling out that flute and looks like going straight to Meyer, which makes a lot of sense here because Meyer is one of those, especially if you count the Desert Ledge, Meyer Shed is a very, very quick 2 checks. The interesting question will be if he sees Bombos, does he consider dipping Meyer?
Nope, it's the Vanilla Medallion Ether. Well, we come up with another bee in a bottle and 20 rupees in the shed, so that's it for that. Timp is heading for Akina. We already know this isn't going to be anything of importance by virtue of Tyler checking it. And Tyler is in the darkness. Just going to save quit out. Probably couldn't find his way out if I had to guess.
Yeah, the good thing for Tyler is that he did get that tempered and got the mitts, so even the stuff he abandoned in pod, outside of potentially Helma/Green Pendant, he did not miss anything that Timp's got. Looks like Timp is going up here and is going to check the Smith chain, as a couple people have pointed out in chat, Grey Corvid, and then a couple other people. At this point, it looks like Smith chain is likely the answer unless it's Helmasaur, just because they're starting to really run out of in-logic checks. You could, of course, do Ice Palace if you wanted to fake flipper your way in. You could do all sorts of fake flipper checks as well. However, with Swamp being a pendant, you know you're going to find those flippers at some point, so it's not as enticing as it might normally be. But it does look like tylersalt is going to try it, so we'll see what Tyler gets out of here. probably going to check with his money. Maybe he'll go up to Zora, see if maybe there's vanilla flippers or something. Timp finding out that hammer pegs is not the answer. Oh no, and it looks like Timp is going to back of Thieves Town, which is going to give back a lot of the advantage he currently has. Because we all know that there is, not only is there nothing in the back of Thieves Town progression-wise, there's not even anything that's particularly like any sort of safeties or anything you would care about in the back of Thieves Town. So by the time Timp finishes this up, it's probably going to be pretty much a tie. At this point, basically what we're looking for, we need flippers plus mirror, we need Samaria, we need Ice Rod. And then potentially we need boots for desert. Tyler's fake flipper / water walk with Moon Pearl into Waterfall Fairy does nothing, but can check out this item here, and it's Ether, which I believe Tyler has gone to Mire in the Mire area and knows that, and I believe Tyler does know some of the Ancilla. I don't know how comfortable he is with it, but I have seen him pull it off before, so it's possible he might go get that Ether right now if he knows how to do the Ancilla reliably. Oh, and there is Samaria. Assuming Tyler knows the Ancilla, this is exactly where you'd go to do it, but oops, picking it up. When you pick up that cane, it sort of messes up your fake flipper. So right now, Tyler has Mire or he has TR. Looks like he's going to TR first, which is definitely, I think, the more logical play here. Yeah, it is. As people in chat are pointing out, it's a shock that Zora was actually worth it today and not deciding to skip it, not deciding to scam people. But this is definitely, I think, a good play to do TR first, since even though it's kind of a long dungeon, the first half of it, even though you can't clear it, you probably need to do a lot of those checks anyways, just because it's a dense item location. And like you have to get a bunch of keys going through, you have to get big key, so I kind of like this play. It does potentially commit him to a double dip though if the Ice Rod isn't here. Meanwhile, Timp continuing to go through TT, which, you know, makes sense, but unfortunately we all know that he's basically just giving back time that Tyler's using to make all these extra checks. Oh, and it is worth noting, Tyler has not done any of these checks yet, so we will see him do all these dips first, which I had forgotten Tyler hadn't done this, but this makes the TR over Mire play even more logical and understandable, because you get all these 6 checks, plus opening TR, plus, you know, however deep he wants to go into TR. So this is definitely the item density play here, as Timp gets the bad news that congratulations, you spent a couple minutes doing Back of Thieves Town for a green or a blue pendant. Yippee.
As if that's going to be anything now, unless we somehow get an Ice Rod on pedestal situation, which is still possible.
Ice Rod and flippers are both possible. Actually, mirrors. Actually, almost everything we're looking for could be on Could be on pedestal at this point. Ice Rod, Flippers, and Mirror can all be there. And Timp is doing the Smith chain, answering the prayers of Gray Corvid in chat wanting to see this. So we will know who to blame if this doesn't pay out.
I mean, there is something you can do for a laugh in your own time, is you get yelled at by the blacksmiths if you hit the table with the hammer. And there's the Flippers!
There's the Flippers, yes, and as Holy Smoke correcting me in chat correctly, that Flippers could not have been on ledge just because, could not have been there on pedestal just because the medallion locking Meyer is Flippers locked, so. Timp going straight to Ice Rot, or Ice Palace here, now that it's in logic, which makes plenty of sense. It's a clearable crystal, especially does not have Samaria, so he's probably going to take longer to do it than tylersalt will, but you get 3 items, it's a clearable crystal. This makes a lot of sense.
And that opening chest is just a map, so no dice there. The Pokey not cooperating for Tyler, and now here's one of the rougher rooms in the game, the Chain Chomp room. These guys do a lot of damage, even with blue mail.
Yeah, and without Kane of Samaria, we'll get to see how up Timp is on his Ice Palace bomb jump strats. Of course, it's one that historically was always pretty much the first trick everybody learned. But with the Rise of Icebreaker, I know there are a lot of people who have let themselves get kind of rusty on it. Let's see if Timp's still up on his practice here.
I haven't, but mostly because I haven't been able to learn Icebreakers, so that's my excuse. Thought he hit the lineup, but then he stepped out of it. There, he got it.
Nicely done. Meanwhile, tylersalt has not gotten anything out of this this dip yet.
Chip has come up with the big key for Ice Palace.
And in a very nice spot so that you can get your big chests. Unfortunately, just finding money there.
And unfortunately, without Mirror, for now, Mimic Cave has to be left behind.
Tim showing off some very nicely timed pot throws to kill some of those shadows.
Now, Timp thought about going up, but no small key, so can't go that way.
Ooh, Tyler getting trolled by the helmet guy standing in the very worst spot possible.
Let's see this laser bridge. That piece of hard finishes a container. There's the small key needed to finish the dungeon. The map down to one chest, and that is just bombs. So now the 64,000 rupee question is, where in the world's the godforsaken ice rod? Some of you all might know what I'm referencing.
I wonder if the answer might be getting those flippers to get Ether to go into Mire.
That would be that's a relatively light item chain compared to the one I had in my game 1 matchup of Tiebreaker. Because for those of you who have seen that seed, it was truly disgusting. And there's the mirror in Ice Palace.
Oh, and Timp is also going to... Not only is Timp getting that, we're going to see this green pendant play by Tyler, which is one that it's going to take him, if you add all this time up, probably 5-6 minutes to make this entire check. For one check, for Helma plus the green pendant, and it's one that Timp is either way going to probably last location with everything he has on the line here. So this is a make or break moment here for tylersalt. Meanwhile, as we see them just sort of run through dungeons, real quick for those of you who joined us recently, this is the Go Mode Podcasts channel. Please listen to the podcast available on all your favorite podcast apps. My name is Arusta. My co-commentator is Leslie Pro 04. Shoutouts to our trackers, Yoinkerswife and Scottish Brave 44, and Cinaeth for doing the restream as well. This is as you can see by the Triforces on the bottom, this is the deciding Game 3 match. Winner moves on to the next phase of brackets. Loser goes home and is out of the Challenge Cup. So lots on the line here tonight.
And here goes the Bombo Strat, some cold stare. Down goes Cold Stare.
And so with those flippers and that mirror, that puts Swamp Palace in logic, and I wouldn't be surprised if Timp goes straight there, because that is 6 checks, probably the most dense. Since he doesn't yet have Samaria, that's pretty much his most dense area that's up for grabs. It also, if you're counting along at home, puts Desert Palace potentially in logic, depending on where the keys are.
Moment of truth is now we get a look at what was Homosaur King holding, and then maybe Green Pendant afterwards. A single arrow.
You have to feel like Tyler is probably, 1, not feeling great about this play, and 2, going to try to pay off that green pendant right now, because he's invested quite a bit in this gamble.
green pendant. We're going to see it on Tyler's side very shortly.
Yeah, Tim's pickup of the flippers and then his Ice Palace play puts him way ahead of Tyler right now. Especially if he decides not to do his do that TR dip, which I wouldn't expect Timp does since he's already seen part of it. Nope, he's going to Swamp. So, because Tyler got nothing out of that front of TR, it'll save him some time when they both go back, but that's a lot of time commitment.
And here's the thing. Neither runner grabbed Ether. Tyler because he couldn't. Timp because he chose not to. So if Meyer is needed, both are going to have to go back to Zora's domain.
Yeah, that's an odd play by Timp. We'll have to ask about that, because even if you're hoping that Meyer is not required, which is always a good thing to hope for, you have to feel like, since you're already in the area, that 30 seconds to go pick it up just in case is worth it. Meanwhile, Tyler is looks like going to do hammer pegs and might do Smith chain after this, perhaps. So Tyler will be getting his flipper soon, and we'll see where he decides to go. Probably will try to play them out straight to ice, unless he's feeling super behind, in which case maybe he would say, let's go get that ether and roll the dice on Meyer.
Hammer pegs just 20 rupees, so nothing of importance there. Personally, I would have saved that till after I got purple chest, but that's just me.
Maybe he's hoping that he'll only do the first half of it. Timp finding a fetch quest mushroom in the first real chest of Swamp.
Now, that makes things interesting, because what that opens up is not only does it open up the Pyramid Fairy, not the Pyramid Fairy, I meant the fetch quest. We've already been Anyway, what I meant is fake powder. That mushroom also allows you to fake powder for Magic Bat, which could potentially be a game changer.
Yeah, because we do know where powder is. It's on the Lonely Island in Lake Hylia, but it's kind of out of the way for both runners. Tyler because he doesn't have mirror, and Timp because he could get it right after this, but if you're thinking about it, it's still not particularly close. Yeah, and to answer a question in chat, the logic doesn't ask for fake powder, but Timp can logically get his own powder, so it's just whether it's quicker to burn all your magic and fake powder if you choose to do that, or swim over from here over to the place where you mirror over for the island.
So some of you who may not be familiar with Diver Down are probably thinking, what the heck did Timp just do that for? He flooded the key. Yes, he did. And back in the day, you'd have to leave the dungeon and all that other stuff. But instead, Timp is going to set up a Diver Down, which he gets first try using bombs. Nicely done. And then he's able to get the key that way. So even if you flood the key, you're not totally sunk.
Yeah, you can do that both with bombs and Samaria. It is one of those tricks that was only discovered maybe a year or two ago. Ooh, Timp doing the swag strat in that room.
Wow, okay, I did not see that coming. That was nice.
But as I was saying, it's one of those tricks that has been discovered relatively recently, but it's not as difficult to learn as it looks. So it's something that's absolutely worth spending the time to learn, because not only does it save you some of the effort, like it makes this left side swamp check a lot quicker. Meanwhile, on tylersalt's side, what he just showed off is another relatively recent identifier of the icebreaker, which you can see how Timp had to basically circle the entire dungeon a couple times to get where he needed to go. Tyler can basically just start at the top and go down. Saves you quite a bit of time, even over the Ice Palace bomb jump.
And Ice Palace bomb jump on first try already saves a huge large amount of time as it was, even that got rendered relatively obsolete by that trip. So that does leave me to wonder, no big key yet for Timp, so we continue on to the back. We're gonna see another diver down coming up here.
And to answer a question in chat, if you do Ice Ballast completely vanilla, no bomb jump, no icebreaker, none of that, I think it's 3 trips you have to cycle around is the way the intended route. You can cut a bit of that out if you're willing to backtrack, but like the way they actually intend you to do it, like pushing the blocks out in that room where you do icebreaker, all that, you basically end up circling the dungeon like 3 full times. Takes forever.
Yeah, it's not fun. I did that like once as a kid, and I thought, it's way.
Meanwhile, we're going to have near simultaneous boss fights here, so basically, in about a minute or so, the difference is going to be Timp is a full Swamp Palace clear ahead.
Tyler's done with ice. Very clean, very nicely done. Yeah, the game intended you to take this very long route that is slow and not fun. Even as a kid, I started to consider going into Mire beforehand so I could just drop a cane of Samaria block on it to save time that way. And yes, I agree with Cinaeth. Ice Palace was definitely the water temple of A Link to the Past. Those familiar with Ocarina of Time know exactly what I'm referencing.
Looks like we might be about to see simultaneous Desert Palace dips, because with the way Timp has focused heavily on Crystal Dungeons, hard to imagine he's not going to do what Tyler's doing right now and go straight to Desert. So right now the big thing is, where is that ice rod? If it is here in Desert Palace, that is going to be huge for Timp, because it basically means he's going to remain a full... Oh, a fetch quest on the thing, on the torch, which we cannot get.
That could be evil if that fetch quest leads to the ice rod. Or that shovel was meant to be digging out the desert instead of combing the desert like they did in Spaceballs. Well, we found the big key. That is what we have found. And the dungeon, in terms of clearing it, is not boots locked, so... yeah, just gotta beat the boss and either find the boots, or else we're gonna be... Well, according to my notes, since Timp has yet to go to Turtle Rock, if Timp were to do so, he would be able to check Mimic Cave, which Tyler was not able to do when he went that way.
Yeah, though it is worth noting, if Timp did that, since we've already seen all of it, all the way to Laser Bridge, Timp doesn't know this, of course, but that would basically give away his entire lead the time he takes to do that. Unless Mimic Cave is the answer. We also, as Great Corvid is pointing out, we have not seen Catfish. I don't believe we've seen the actual lunchbox part of Smith Chain. And Timp has that mushroom he has not tried to pay off yet. Also, it's out of logic, though. Well, it actually is in logic. There's the magic bat. Neither runner has powder, but Timp can fake it if he wants to.
Wow, boots on the land mows. How about going to get that fetch quest item? That's what I would do.
Oh yeah, you absolutely go back in to get that fetch quest item, because you're right here. You will never have an easier chance to get it.
And at this point, you just opened up Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb with that mirror. You can also route in Graveyard Ledge. That's really the best way to route the northern part of both Light and Dark World.
If I'm... Tyler, of course, has not checked the checkerboard cave here, so basically after this, they have done pretty much the exact same checks, except Tyler has gone through Turtle Rock, whereas Timp has cleared all of Swamp. Tyler going straight to Swamp, which of course makes plenty of sense.
It's also going to be faster for Tyler because he got the boots first and hasn't gone there. Timp has gone through Swamp bootless, which is much slower.
It is, though, at least in terms of ones which are slower, Swamp actually isn't the worst at that, because at least you have the fact that you spend a lot of time swimming. Something like Eastern or Desert without boots, if you do it and your opponent doesn't, that's a huge difference.
I think Tyler's going K45 to the dig spot, which makes a lot of sense. It's a very good way of routing that. Timp coming from the north isn't going to be able to check K45, but will hit the dig spot a little bit sooner than Tyler. We're going to see what it is. Near simultaneous, it's a heart container, which Timp picks up. Not able to go back over to the flute when the shovel is still out. And Timp's just going to turn the mushroom in. I mean, we know where powder is, so that does make sense. And that mushroom is giving us a broken heart. Ooh, bad break on Tyler's end. A cursed rock in the grass causes a force bonk and brings it to life. That's all RNG there. Nothing much you can do about that.
Yeah, it looks like Timp is going to try to pay off those boots into King's Tomb, probably the Bonk Rocks after this. And we'll see. After that, he'll be kind of close if he wants to go to the Dark World and do Purple Chest, which I believe he hasn't done yet. And to answer a question, and to answer something in chat raised by Dante, they actually both know where Ether is on on Zora Ledge. tylersalt got there by fake flippering and then picked up Zora's item, so he couldn't get it. Timp bought the flipper, had the flippers, and got Zora's item and just didn't go to the south. So we're not sure what was going on there, but both of them would have to make a trip solely for that, but they do know it exists.
Looks like Timp's running over to Cave 45. might be pairing this with purple chest.
Heading east, it looks like probably going to do catfish, and hopefully Timp remembers that ether exists.
Tyler's going straight to the back of swamp. Unfortunately, this won't pay off. I think Timp's going to hobo here.
Yeah, from what I remember, on left side swamp, there was at least one item, maybe two, so it'll be interesting to see. We know it's garbage, but it'll be interesting to see if Tyler dips back in afterwards.
Timp's flying away again, this time back to the Kakariko.
Must be going for purple chest here, because he's cleared out pretty much everything else in this area.
Timp got a little indecisive on where to go for a second.
Neither runner has checked Graveyard Ledge, which is a possibility.
Yep, we've all been there on the panic brain, or I can say from experience, brain fart hat, which could happen to anybody. Timp is picking up purple chests while Tyler gets the phase 2 quick cycle on our buddy Argus. Nice.
Silver's on the lunchbox. That's nice to have.
Tyler's gone right back in. And you'll definitely take silvers for endgame, because it makes a lot of enemies go down in one hit, and it's your fastest way for finishing off Ganon.
Yeah, though it is worth noting at this point, basically, unless Timp finds Ice Rod right now, they are going to be more or less tied. It's just where it goes down to. Because Timp has done more of these overworld checks, which Tyler might end up doing, but in terms of crystals, in terms of dungeons, they're both pretty much identical.
Well, to answer your question in chat, the only one to have done the Turtle Rock dip was Tyler. He did not have the mirror at the time, and there was nothing there of consequence. However, that being said, there could still be something at Mimic Cave. That is a very cheap bribe, and Timp is just leaving.
Timp, pick up ether
entirely. That could be a mistake, as if it's Meyer and Tyler goes back for it first. Oh boy, that would be a lead evaporated and then some, and you would hate to see it.
I have to think at this point, Timp must have misseen it or checked it off or something, because the first time, skipping it the first time with flippers when all you had to do was go south was itself an odd play. And then at this point, when you're running low on checks, I can't imagine you wouldn't bother to at least pick that up when you're right there. It's got to be a tracker error.
Yeah, and that could be either your physical tracker or a mental tracker. See, I've played enough Link to the Past growing up to where I don't use a tracker generally. So even so, I make my share of mental tracking errors, and that's just a bloopy on Graveyard Ledge as Tyler's turning in the mushroom. What's it gonna be? Well, it's not gonna be what he's after, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, meanwhile, we know where Powder is on the Lonely Island in Lake Hylia. Both runners have turned in their pendant or turned in their mushroom and committed to giving it away, so...
Looks like Timp is heading for Turtle Rock. He will be able to enter, and unlike Tyler, will be able to check Mimic Cave, and if that's the ice rod, then it's all but over.
Yeah, meanwhile, looks like Tyler is going to clear up a bunch of these overworld checks, which makes sense because that does seem, knowing where flippers were, he knows that he could have had them when he went up there, so it probably feels like, hey, if that ether and mire is required, I'm already in deep trouble. Let's try to clear up some stuff that my opponent might not have done. Also, if you're wondering, Tyler did not check Lumberjack on his way up here, so that's what he's checking now, just to make sure Ice Rod is not chilling behind Aga 1.
Which would be pretty rude, and if you saw it at this late when you could have seen it earlier, you wouldn't be feeling good. But it's only a big 20, so no harm, no foul.
Tyler giving us the important lore that one of the Lumberjacks always tells the truth. Good to know. That said, from here, Tyler has not checked Catfish, so I'm sure he's going to do all the... I would guess he's going to do all these North Dark World checks and then continue over to pick up Catfish. And if he remembers, probably pick up Ether as well.
Now, if Tyler picks up Ether, he doesn't know it, but it would be an advantage for him, because even though he wasn't able to get it the first time, Timp just flat out left it behind. He's not going to know that, but let's just say, and what he doesn't realize is if you were to do that, then, well, all I'm going to say is there's a chance.
Yeah, at this point, Timp's lead is basically down to, is it in Mimic Cave? If it's not, then Tyler is probably ahead here. Because Timp's done a couple more overworld checks, but Tyler's going to clean those up quickly. And Tyler seems likely to have that ether advantage, which is mire.
Moment of truth is coming up for Tyler here. If he has mirror out, so I'm led to think he's going to get it.
Yeah, I mean, he pulled out mirror before this, but yeah, I mean, it seems, yep, he did not do the full bonk strat, so yep, that's exactly what he's doing, is picking up his ether.
This is a very smart play for Tyler to return here for ether. Will it pay off, or does Timp have it in Mimic Cave? Oh boy, this is a tense moment, folks. because what happens in these next few moments is basically going to be a huge part in deciding the race. And no, Tyler, you already went to King's door. It's how you got the cave. So that's an astronaut? Thought it was one of the guys from Among Us, to be honest. Either way, here goes Timp into Mimic Cave. Tyler heading into Mire.
Yeah, because yep, from Tyler's perspective, he's done pretty much everything except for the lunchbox. So this makes sense for him. For Timp, you're already up here. Of course, this makes sense. He was doing clearly an item density play into TR here.
And it's the Book of Medora. Opens another possibility. You're already here on Death Mountain. You can check the Ether tablet while you are up here. And we get the Frozen Bird Yeet in the Misery Mire.
Yeah, and that is actually another bailout for Timp, is that if it happens to be Ped, Tyler is still ahead because he will have Ped, the ability to blind pull Ped right after this. But he has to go all the way through the entire first half of TR to get that book. So if it's on one of the tablets, that could be big for Timp.
Yeah, so there is still a chance here.
So you're saying there's a chance. And there's 50% of the items from Mire.
Yep, that first one is a heart container.
Though it is worth noting that if the ice rod isn't in a chest, even if he gets the second item, I would expect Tyler to probably play this out betting on Ped, because you've already got two of the pendants and you're running really low on checks here.
Yeah, that would be the right play in my book, would be to just finish this out no matter what.
I do like Timp deciding to try to save the portal there. I don't know if he'll actually be able to do so, depending on where he decides to check after this, but giving yourself that option makes a lot of sense.
It really does. And the way you save a portal, I mean, you can't do this in a seed where Haggle 1 is required unless you do this in the light world, is you basically are doing a depth work. And he would not be able to save it if it were at Bombo's tablet, which would be a moot point. And there it is at the Ether tablet. Timp is in go mode. Wow, that's just gross.
And Timp is bailed out by not needing to worry about that Ether. I'm pretty sure Timp is pausing here just to try to remember which side you dropped down.
Book was at Mimic Cave. Tyler could not get it on his first trip because he didn't have the mirror. Timp had the mirror, was able to get it, and with where Ice Rod was in proximity to the book, has swung this race in Timp's favor. Now at this point, he just has to finish it out, and he's on his way to the next phase of the tournament. You know, sometimes, I swear, in these randos, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, especially in these bad scenes.
Yeah, meanwhile, Timp is very close to entering Ganon's tower. I don't know if we have the guessing game or not. Maybe one of the mods can try that. If not, we'll still put your number in between 1 and 22, and we will shout you out even if there's no official points for it.
Now, y'all are talking about seeds. I got one I can leave in Discord for my series that was really bad. I didn't roll it. My opponent did. And it was just another level of just awful.
I am informed that the Saha bot is on strike. Something about being forced to do all the work for Rando. But still put your numbers in chat for the Ganon's Tower, and we will still call you out. Do you have a favorite guess, Leslie?
I've been going with 8 since the death of Kobe Bryant last year, out of respect for one of the best to ever play the game of basketball. So I'm just sticking with it.
That's fair.
And we got some spooky action glitch going on from Tyler. Okay, here we go for Turtle Rock. First check, that's the red shield. Second check, a small key. This is always a good opportunity to check the right side, because you never know, a big key could be over here in this situation. Unfortunately for Timp, one of the jellies got in the way, still got through the door in time. Now we get to see. Well, not so fast, as Tyler is going a different way to the pedestal than I would have gone, but that's okay. There's the butter sword on the right side, along with 3 bombs, 50 rupees, and 5 rupee. So big key not on the right side this time. I mean, it's a good idea to check when you get that key anyway, because if you don't and it's over there, you lose 3 minutes. Versus going to the right and being wrong, where you lose only like 1.
Blind Ped Pull, get your hype in chat.
Ten arrows. So Ped really was a whole lot of nothing. Speaking of 10 arrows, that's what Timp just got, followed by a ruby stash, a small key, and a second small key.
Which I believe puts us at 11 right now.
Yeah, for going to the right, yes it does.
But the one thing to note here is that not only does Timp have a big lead right now, Timp has pretty much almost every safety you would want. Gold sword, silvers. I believe he still has at least 1 blue potion, maybe 2.
Well, purple chest isn't the answer. Tyler will be pleased to see what is inside. Yeah, at this point, book is definitely a last location, which, to be honest, anyone who's played a randomizer will tell you this, and there it is, right before the random room in the fire snake room.
So I believe that was 13?
Yes.
Which would be Chuck C13. Very appropriate. Good guess. Yeah, Tyler going to go back and do find his book here. It's pretty much his, I believe, his full last location.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, by the time he gets book and ice rod, Timp will probably be on Agate 2 by that point.
Yeah, a hard last location never feels good. Now, this third room in Gauntlet can be a rough one to get right in an optimal way because you can easily get trolled by one of the enemies. I see that irritable penguin. That's actually pretty funny. Now, Tyler did have a good mimic pattern, but unfortunately, the shooter decided to be rude. And Tyler almost overshot Mimic Kid. And there's the book, and he just stares off to the right for a moment as sort of a reaction. For Tyler, I could imagine he cannot be happy about how things have turned out at all. He is going to do a portal save here, just not the same one, because he still has to go back to the beginning. Well, he still has to make his way down to Laser Bridge a second time to do that, so he's going to not quite do that. Meanwhile, Moldorm 2 is down. Will we get to see what's in Moldorm's last earthly possession? No, Timp is going to leave it behind for somebody else to claim.
Which, yeah, makes sense at this point because, you know, Timp knows that his opponent has not got done. You're an hour 48 in. You have to feel like every second counts at this point, and there's no safeties you could get in there that would make you feel better for Ganon.
Yeah, another reason to skip that would be you could be on pace for a monstrous race, BB. And at that point, you just want to get through as quickly as possible. And speaking of, Timp's having a bit of trouble with Agate 2 because these patterns are not being very helpful. There he goes, he got him. Sort of one of the toughest parts of these rando seeds is something that's also in vanilla, and that's dealing with the Agate 2 patterns. And here we go, time for Ganon, and he's talking about burritos. Great, make everybody hungry in chat.
Timp using that hook shot pretty nicely.
And to answer chat, unfortunately, Lana, that is how it was routed, as Tyler did not have mirror before going into Turtle Rocks, so that's really your big difference right now. And Timp does get the torch glitch, which, when you have silvers, isn't as big of a deal as when you don't, but it still helps. And with that, down goes Ganon. We got Bacon. tylersalt's finishing off Cinaeth, but get your GGs in chat for Timp. And with that, Timp has finished first and is moving on to the next stage of the tournament with an official racetime.gg time of 150.57. And tylersalt has waved the white flag, calling it a race.
And we are joined here in chat by both our racers, Timp and tylersalt. So GG to both of you. Timp, if you want to go first.
Good evening, GG's Tyler. Yeah, that was a tough seed. That ice rod hunt at the end was absolutely ridiculous. I talked to Tyler a little bit before we started. It sounds like we both pretty much full cleared the overworld before we finally made the dip into TR to go get that ice rod. But yeah, man, what a seed.
Yeah, GG's to you. That is easily the worst seed I have ever played, both in terms of item layout and I think how I played. I was like this close to fake flippering, sequence breaking into Ice Palace after I got the mitts, and if I had, I feel like that would have blown the seed open because I would have had the mirror and then would have had the mirror going through TR the first time. So I would have gotten the book there. But yeah, no, not great. Not great.
Yeah, when you both when Timp started going up to TR, because Timp hard avoided TR until basically the end, and then we were all talking in chat. It's like, well, Tyler has already been here, so the only thing that can bail Timp out is Mimic Cave, and guess what?
There it was. Yep. So tell you what, never going to go to TR without the mirror again. I was really hoping the mirror would be on Laser Bridge.
Yeah, and one thing to ask about Timp. When you went to Zora, did you realize Ether was there? Because we were all wondering why you jumped right past it.
Well, that was a strategic move. I basically, I was trying to save as much time as possible being that late into the seed and knowing, what kind of an opponent tylersalt is. So I was just like, okay, yeah, there could be, Ice Rod could be in Mire. It could be one of those two items, but and that would be the only reason to pick that up is to say like, okay, I want to go do Mire. And I guess I could have got it just to be safe, but excuse my daughter. Sorry, she's a little fuzzy right now. I just felt like it was not worth the effort to do that. And it ended up paying off actually. So I don't regret it.
And frankly, I don't regret it getting it at the point where I got it. Like I did after I got the boots in Desert, which was very rude. I checked the shovel immediately, which was nothing, and then kind of did my North Dark World loop and mirrored over because I knew Ether was there. I mirrored over and got it then, and I was like, all right, if it's in Mimic Cave, I've already lost, so I have to gamble that the Ice Rod is in Mire or on Ped. And I would make that decision again if in the same situation for sure.
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, I had something I wanted to say here. It's, Challenge Cup is always a lot of fun. And I guess I've now 3 years in a row made the brackets, which I'm very proud of.
GG's.
Thank you. But the thing is, the last 3 weeks, scheduling 2 to 3 matches per week has been very, very difficult on me and my family and my baby and all that. So I've actually decided to drop out from the tournament.
Oh, wow.
Which I believe means that Mr. Salt is in.
Whoa.
So GG's
okay.
to you, Mr. Salt.
GG's. Thank you. Okay, sure.
I was planning on doing this no matter what, but I wanted to honor our, best of 3 here. But there's just no way I can continue. I mean, I've already had to reschedule several times with our matches alone. It's tough, and the baby's just not quite old enough to where I can be unavailable for 2 whole hours. Here, yeah, I know, Noah. I know it's tough.
Oh.
So there you go.
Well, I gotta say that's not the way that I wanted to make it in. But GG's to Timp. I totally understand. Real life's got to come first for sure. So
absolutely, as does family.
Yeah.
No, it does
like
mean...
I said, I'm proud and happy. I wanted to, I wanted us to tilt and see what happened, and I'm happy
well,
with how
we
that
certainly
went.
got our money's worth on this one for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's right, Noah.
Absolutely, and you know what that does mean, Tyler, is you are therefore carrying the banner of 2 people.
Yeah.
Long shots, so
That's right.
I'm
the power.
the longest of the long shots here going into brackets, so hopefully I can do us proud.
Yes, please do. I'll be there cheering you on.
Awesome.
All right, so does anybody have any final thoughts?
I gotta feed this baby.
Yeah, I need a day off after this seed. I feel like I was kind of looking forward to taking a couple days away from Rando to detox after this one. Now I have to keep going. It's oh no, okay, but we should be good. Thank you for the restream. I appreciate it. I was glad that we were able to get everybody together. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys all for the restream. It's always good to be able to restream a game 3, and I think this was a pretty wild one.
Sure was.
Sure was, and everybody in chat enjoyed it. So, Leslie, do you have any final thoughts? If not, I'll walk us out here.
Yeah, this seed was definitely a wild one. GG to both runners. And definitely follow the runners because they put on a heck of a show. Woo! That seed was wild.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and give our runners a follow. tylersalt and Timp, both very good guys, very good runners. Very entertaining to watch. Thank you to my co-commentator, Leslie Pro 04. Big thanks to our trackers, Scottish Brave 44 and Yoinkerswife, and also our Restreamer, Cinaeth, for helping set this up just on short notice. Definitely check out the podcast. Check out the Discord if you're not already a big fan of Go Mode. And for everybody here at Go Mode Podcast, my name is Arusta, and thank you for watching.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
And we will see you next time for the tiebreaker as well as the bracket stage. So look forward to that.
Oh God, I
Good
probably
night,
the
everybody.
tiebreaker. Crap.